Bob here, Chopper Bob Customs, and I'm going to go ahead and start laying out the curve section of the window channel, the thing that holds the seal to keep the glass sealed to the car when you have the top on it. I had originally thought about doing the tangent first, but I got to thinking about it and decided it was probably better to do the curve and then fit the tangent down to the body of the car. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take and mark out the curve off of the glass. And I'm also going to include part of the straight section. Now, right here is where it ends, and right here is where it ends. So I'm going to make those marks right there and there, and we'll take this over to the workbench and do a little bit more work on it, because it's not going to go just as it is, because I've got to have some clearance. The inside edge of this line represents the curve of the glass. But we need to have space between the edge of the glass and the channel that we're going to be putting in there. And this is for the side pieces of that channel. As I said in a previous video, I don't have anything that is stout enough to do shrinking or stretching on material this thick. This material was originally bought for another purpose. It didn't work out for that purpose, and so I've had it sitting around the shop for a while. I was thinking that it's 14 gauge. When I measure it, it measures out at 71 thousandths, which is really right in the neighborhood of 15 gauge. So it's either 16 gauge that was overly thick, 14 gauge that was a little undersized, or maybe they actually supplied me with straight 15 gauge. This originally was something that I purchased to try and build a drive shaft enclosure for the blown retirement funny car, and it didn't work out, and so I've had it in my inventory for a while now, and that's what I'm using it for. So and then what I'm going to do also is I'm going to go out inside edge to inside edge on the corner, so that I get a nice rounded corner to try and match as close as I can to the broken channel that I'm using. So the first thing I need to do is I need to add 71 thousandths to this right here. Okay, so that's the first thing I've got to add. And then I want to have a 1/16 of an inch clearance, and I'm using the 1/16 inch spacers to get a 1/16 inch clearance between the seal and the glass edge. So that's 0.0625 inches. And then there's the actual thickness of the seal itself, which, and this is of course is a little hard to measure because it's rubber, but what I'm coming up with, let's see, 210, 216, kind of odd to be an odd number like that, but let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's 216. It's kind of strange. So 0.216. $2,495. Well, a quick check on the car indicates that I probably should have had a second cup of coffee this morning, because I forgot to carry the 1 in my addition. So instead of 250, this should have been 350, almost 3/8 of an inch. That would have been a bad enough error to keep the door from shutting with the window rolled up. So always double check your work particularly when you start to get too old. Okay, so let's try this. Oh, by the way, if you guys are cereal eaters or someone in your family is cereal eaters, cereal boxes make great cardboard for laying this type of stuff out. Basically, most people throw it in the trash. This way I get one more use out of it before I throw it in the trash. So there's something for you to think about. Okay, let me go see how this looks. I'll be right back. Yeah, it looks pretty good, and I believe that I'll be able to use one pattern for both sides. One thing about it is this seal has got about a 1/4 inch Yeah, it's actually a little bit more than a 1/4 inch between where the window would hit the mounting surface to where the beginning of the seal goes. So I'm shooting for a 1/16, which would give me 3/16 inch of overlap here. So I've got 3/16 of an inch that I can sort of play with. I'd prefer that it be a real nice tight fit, but I think I'm in the ballpark close enough to get around that corner. So let me get some material lined out and I'll start laying it out. With the measurements taken, so I know how tall the outside ones need to be, how tall the inside ones need to be, I'm going ahead and laying them out. Probably what I'm going to try today is I'm going to try a new blade in my bandsaw. I don't really have a metal cutting bandsaw, but I've successfully used this bandsaw in the past. I don't know whether it's the thickness of this material or the type of material this is. This was supposed to be plain carbon steel, but it hasn't really rusted. So I'm wondering if maybe what I got is a piece of stainless, which could explain why it doesn't cut. Particularly in my bandsaw. So what I've got is I've got the outer ones, which are shorter than the inner ones. I've got them all laid out. So now I just need to go ahead and cut these out one way or another. I'm hoping I do not have to use a cut-off wheel, but if I have to use a cut-off wheel, that's what I have to do. Anyway, let me get set up and we'll get started on this. So I've got the two thick ones cut out, and I've got the two thin ones cut out. I only showed you the one that I cut out, but kind of wanted to do that for two things. One, to show you that how I was doing it, and two, I'd like to have a very expensive dedicated metal cutting bandsaw, but that's just not in the Chopper Bob Customs budget right now. But this one right here is an old Black & Decker unit that my neighbor had sitting outside. He's a buddy of mine, and I think his wife told him to haul it out for free dump day, and so he gave it to me. And I got some beeswax that my wife had sitting around. She said, yeah, go ahead and take it. I use that to lubricate the outside of the blade and the teeth to keep it running smooth. And I bought a LA Cutting Products bandsaw blade off of eBay for like $25, including the sales tax. It had free shipping. I think they were running a special, so there was like a $1.50 discount on the thing. So basically $26.50, brand new blade. And you saw it may not cut as fast as some of the big expensive machines, but for me it did a really good job. So, you know, it'd be great to have a plasma cutter. It'd be great to have a bandsaw that was better than this one. But the truth of the matter is, with a little bit of luck and a little bit of scrounging, you can come up with a decent piece that'll do what you need it to do. So I will pause this and get ready for the next step. These two pieces are the bottoms of the channels. Measured, they're 7 5/8 inches long. I made these a little long. The black lines at the top and the bottom represent where the 7 5/8 is. I know these are going to be hard to get a bend at the very end, and so I made them a little bit long at both ends. The other thing I noticed is that the curve is not consistent through these parts, and so I've had to make sure that I've got an inside and outside for both sides of the car, so that everything lines up okay. So, but these are going to be the parts. But I just want to say something about this LA Cutting Products blade. I mean, $26, $25 is what I paid for it. And this old machine that's not really designed to be doing this stuff, it cuts through this stuff like butter. I'm really impressed. If it looks like this machine is going to hold up, I'm probably going to be buying more blades from LA Cutting Products. Don't get a dime from the folks. This is not a paid advertisement. I'm just throwing it out there. If you're looking for a good bandsaw blade, LA Cutting Products, they're on eBay, just LA Cutting Products, all one word. They make them to length. The price depends on how long they are, obviously, and what kind of teeth you have. This is the, what is it, 10 to 14. It basically has variable teeth separation so that you don't get a lot of vibration when you cut. So I'm impressed. I just wanted to pass that along, let you know that it's out there. If you're needing blades, I'd check them out. Okay, so I've gone ahead and with my knee and with the vise, I've put the curve in the parts. I've gone ahead and tacked this one together, basically using the magnets, which creates a lot of spark scatter if you're close to it. But basically, the way it boils down to is I've got a 90-degree groove here because I've gone edge to edge rather than overlapping it. And that provides a nice channel for the weld. And it also allows for great penetration because what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to come back in here and radius this over to match the other channels. So basically what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn the video off You've seen me weld. I mean, it's just basically squeezing it together where it's a little bit loose and pulling it apart where it's a little bit tight, putting a series of tacks in through the length of it, and then coming back in and finishing welding it to get full penetration on it. I'm going to go ahead and shut this off, get that taken care of, and I'll be back. Got the left channel built. Got it tweaked a little bit, got it lined up. I'm liking the way it's fitting, so I'm going to go ahead and tack it in several locations so that I can pull the whole thing off the car again and weld it over on the bench. So there, with the blanket out of the way, you can see the fit. It's looking pretty good. Get that down piece fit to it, and this side will be done. Well, I got the welding to do, but anyway, I'm going to pull it off of here to the bench and go ahead and weld that, so that then when it comes time to fit the back piece, I can go ahead and do that real quick. Yeah, I thought about taking this, thought about it, and I decided I'm going to make it. So, let's see what we got down here. I'm reaching a point where I think I need a bigger table. This thing is getting a little out of hand, getting it up here to get it welded. But let's get this last in here so that I can get it cleaned up. See how she cleans up. The plan for this is to have a 1/16 of an inch gap, a 1/16 inch rubber pad, and then a bottom plate that will basically prevent this from dropping down too far when they're putting the top on, and the rubber pad will also protect the body when it's being installed. And then also the gap will provide a gap for the stuff to move around a little bit when it's driving down the road. This is holding it rigid to the body, but in case the top flexes at all, we want a little bit of clearance in there. So the first thing that I did was I took my angle finder and I figured out exactly where the angle needed to be on the bottom of the channel. And I've gone ahead and transferred that over to the bottom of the channel, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. And then the next thing that will need to happen is I'll need to find the length from here to that plate so that I can go ahead and cut this to length, so that when I weld the plate to the bottom of it, that will extend back onto the body here, it will give that 1/16 of an inch clearance. So I'm gonna go do some cutting and I'll be back. I've got the upright cut and I've got it clamped in place. I've got the plate back here. The plan here is to tack it into place really good and then go ahead and cut away what isn't going to be used and finish welding it, so that I have a tab that comes back here and well, if it drops down on the rubber pad, it'll rest on the body, not the door, rest on the body. So with it all looking good right now, I'm going to go ahead and tack it and then back over to the bench to weld it, which is getting a little bit ungainly to weld on the bench, but I don't want to weld it on the car, obviously, so I don't have enough welding blankets and I'm trying to protect the car. Anyway, let's get the welder over here and I'll get to tacking. Got the channel done. Well, there's some touch-up welding that has to be done to it and a lot of grinding. But basically, it is in. It's got the correct spacing here. I've got the foot right here. So the next thing I'm going to have to do, well, I've got to finish the other side to this point. But then I'm going to have to figure out how to attach this to this. This is what's going to hold the back of the roof in place. The two machine screws on both sides of the vehicle. There's two here. There's supposed to be two over there. It's missing one, but we'll get that fixed. And so to take the top off, he'll unsnap the top around the back, reach in with the tool to take the two screws out on either side, take the wing nuts out that I built the other day on the front, the three of them, and then two people can lift the top off and set it aside. Couple things I've got to figure out. One is, my intention is to have three crossbars, one here, one about in the middle, and then one here, all about the same height. I don't know whether you can see the masking tape there, but I'm starting to visualize the roof line. And then I'm going to have to chop these off because they are just not a whole lot too tall, but they're really, I'm going to have to take about an inch off of them because that's where the third crossbow is going to go. And then my original plan, the upholsterer wanted to keep this right here, but the original plan for me was to have it about 3/4 to an inch lower than the rest of the other crossbows, and I'm a good 5 inches right there. So I need to talk to the owner about what he wants this to look like. Made some good progress today. Made sure that this window opening is going to have a seal around it and a good solid support for the crossbows. And I mean, you can stand on this thing and it ain't going anywhere. So we're in good shape there, and it's still not too heavy. I can still lift it off by myself, but I'm sure when I get these heavy pieces here attached to it and I get the crossbows and all the stringers in it, I'm probably going to have to start having help getting it off the car. It's a shame the car is finished, because it would be nice to weld in place, but what can you do? Hey, listen, like this video, please. Give us a like. Comment. If you got anything, any question, if you think I'm an idiot, just comment. I'll get back to you, I promise. And you can't hurt my feelings. Ask my wife. Anyway, she'll tell you that she can, but no one else can. Anyway, like the videos, comment, and by all means subscribe to my channel, because there's going to be lots of neat stuff coming up in the near future. Just to give you an idea, you know, I talked about the Ackerman. That's the one place I'm going to be doing it is on the altered, and I don't know whether you can see that very well, but there in the background is a Bantam body that I'm going to be fitting on the altered. And so it's going to be an altered Bantam, 32 Bantam Roadster, and so there's going to be lots of good stuff, I promise. Let me know what you think. If I can do anything to improve the channel to make it more likely that you'll watch it and more likely that you'll subscribe, let me know, because I want to do this for you guys and gals. And I'm old school, so I'm sorry you guys and gals, but that's me. Anyway, once again, the LA Cutting Products, that saw blade, I didn't know when I bought it. I thought 26 bucks, how good can it be? It was fantastic. It cut right through that stuff like butter. Like I said, I don't get a dime from those guys, but when I come across something that I like, I'm going to let you know about it. And my neighbor for giving me that bandsaw. Like I said, I don't know how long it's going to last doing with it what it's not intended to do, but for now it's doing the job for me, and I got 26 bucks in the whole thing. And so you know, and it'll keep cutting until it dies, and then I'll have to figure something else out. But stick with me. Like I said, subscribe. Please subscribe. And until next time, Chopper Bob out.